When I went in to make Bionic, I knew it was going to be a record of the future, and one that I actually had my heart set on doing since I was 15 and heard Prodigy for the first time. It blew my mind, and just that British accent of Firestarter, twisted, just the whole thing just blew my mind, and I was completely inspired since I was 15. So it's been a long time coming and a long time in the making, but Bionic, it translates through me wanting to talk about, my vocal cords in a bionic sense, having these bionic parts as a woman, because I feel that as women we are pretty superhuman. We give birth, we give life, we hold down the fort pretty much. And it's pretty superhuman at times, and that's kind of what Bionic means to me. I find which direction I want to go next right smack dab in the middle of probably promote while I'm on tour, because the repetition of the same thing, it's like an orgasm to me. Once I've released it and it's out there, it's like I move on, So it's like time to move on. It's the next material, it's the next thing, it's the next inspiration. And being on tour also, you're constantly being inspired by new things and driven by new atmospheres and new people that you meet and new music that you hear. And I'm incredibly inspired by Tokyo, Japan, the colors and the music and the life of the city itself is so inspiring to me that within my world tours it's completely an inspiring movement. So I knew, going from, what it was, going back into retro perspective, exploring vintage Hollywood and 1920s, 30s, coinciding with being inspired by blues, soul, and jazz music, I wanted to do a complete 180 and move on in the next direction. I don't think I've made a record like this since my very first pop album, over a decade ago, and being able to just have fun again and really just let loose and be comfortable in my own skin as a pop artist. And then the collaborations took on a whole other life of their own. I get a little starstruck when it comes to people that I really respect and admire as artists. So my husband sort of did a little bit of pushing me and motivating me to reach out. He's like, if you love these guys so much, why don't you reach out to them? I was like, you think they'd want to work with me? So it's like, Ladytron, all those people. Sia, songwriter, singer, Sia, that I had been a huge fan of, hearing her stuff with 07 in particular. I was really inspired and really interested in working with her. And I really hadn't had a connection with a woman, a female writer, since Linda Perry. So her and I actually collaborated and knocked out 4 songs in 1 week, just because there was just a magic there and the chemistry was amazing. And I went into it saying, look, I'm a really big fan of yours. I'm really interested in stepping into your world and what you guys do and combining it with my sound and the vision that I have for this record. Don't think about the past, because, with every single record, I reinvent it and I go in a different direction completely. And it's hard sometimes to get the right people aboard that really get it, because if you're lazy, you're just going to look at my last album and say, oh, she's this. But really, if you look at my history, every single album takes on a new energy and a new creative path for me, being inspired in a different way over the past 4 years. That's why I also take breaks in between, so that I can be freshly inspired and take in my surroundings and really go forth with whatever's happening in my life in the moment, so I can really write about it and really experience and explore that to its fullest. So I got really into having my son really into electronica music and listening to Ladytron and Goldfrapp and artists like that. I would sing Goldfrapp sort of in a lullaby way to my son. Her voice is amazing, so I was able to sort of, translate that into a soft way for my son, and ended up writing a lullaby with Sia about my son called All I Need. But the experience was out of this world, and it was great to walk off with all these great friendships as well, because they're just such cool people. Going into this record, I really wanted to explore the different textures of my voice that I'd kind of never gone to before, and that's why I was really interested in stepping into these people's worlds and being really open and vulnerable to the experience, so that I would maybe take on a different energy and find something out about myself that I didn't know I had in me. And with that came a lot of things vocally, almost robotic textures that we did technically, with special effects and things that went along with the whole Bionic feel. But then I went to a very vulnerable and raw and organic place with Sia and Sam Dixon, her fantastic and talented guitar player, who just came with these beautiful chords and melodies and adding these amazing strings to these records. And it's just it's my voice just stripped down to its raw quality and nothing more. And people sometimes are like, that's another vocal in there, right? But it's not. It's all my voice. It's just slightly different textures of it. I was finished with my album entirely, and I had to put it on hold to go do the movie that I was filming for 6 months, and it was so creatively difficult to be finished with your record and then go into movie making. And what ended up happening was, by the time I was nearing the end of filming, I had changed a lot, and I was experiencing new things in my life, and I had learned so incredibly much that I was sort of a different person and a more grown in many ways, and I had different stories to tell, different things to release, and had to be released. And being in a certain character and feeling a certain way with someone for so long, I was so antsy to get back to myself. And I ended up saying to the label and to the producers that I'd worked with, send me tracks. I'm into writing again, and I have new stories to tell. I'd love to get back in the studio, see what happens at this point in my life. And then Not Myself Tonight showed up at my doorstep, and I said, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I want to release. This is the first single. Because it really had, a great commercial feel to it, but at the same time, it had sort of that electronic feel that did marry well and tie into the record on a certain level, but it still lyrically tied into exactly how I was feeling, which was, I need to step out and let loose, and, I felt like I've not been myself for a while, so I'm ready to explore. And it almost reminds me in a sense of my Dirty record, but 2.0, and maybe much more sophisticated in a sense, when you see the video, etc. I start out with these mood boards that I make of all these things that I have in mind for videos and hair and makeup and style and all these things that that sort of come from tear sheets and things, and I enjoy making these big, huge collages on cardboards with tacks and things, because it's relaxing for me, for one, and two, it really comes across creatively what I want to do, and it's really good for me to visually say, this is what I want it to look like, now create the sound for it, and let's see what happens. And so we collaborate from there, and Tricky was just great at tapping into what that was, and I have a lot of fashion designer friends, and I was kind of wanted and was inspired to make something for Galliano to play while he has models go down the runway. So glam was created. This album actually, in a lot of cases, reminds me of a more sophisticated, modernized, and lighter version of the stripped record. It's a really fun record. As soon as you pop it in, it starts with Bionic, and you just go on this really fun ride. But it has that breaking point where the Sia and Sam stuff comes in, and which I call the heart of the record. It's really just beautiful, organic. Has nothing really, no electronic textures whatsoever, but just real and raw, which is another element of me. So I really wanted to make sure it showed, because I'm not one-dimensional. I'm, multifaceted, and I wanted to explore and showcase that on this record in all the different songs. I mean, I've gone through my journey of wanting to empower women and feeling good about myself and never wanting to feel ashamed within my sexuality, so it's part of my message and creativity. But I've never felt sexier than ever. I've never felt better or more confident than I've never felt this good before, ever. I'm really appreciative that I can be in the position to have an outlet for creativity and a form of release as music allows me to do. I'm really appreciative of that. My whole life is a big juggling and balancing act. It's just the way it is. I'm not the first woman to ever do it, and I won't be the last, but I do what I do in my own way and to the best of my ability. I wear many hats. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a woman in my own right, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a visionary. I really make a point in not shadowing or overshadowing any side of myself. I really try to do a great job at everything, and it can drive someone crazy sometimes, you know, and I definitely have my moments where I'm like, I need a minute, I need to, you know, take a bath, a nice bubble bath, or get a nice massage, and I feel rejuvenated. But it's all important to me. You know, these sides of me are really important. I feel sometimes when you become a mother, you want to squash some things, or you forget about the sides of you that are really you. But I feel like it's really important so that you stay well-rounded and that you can really feel fulfilled in your life entirely. You know, my mom sort of gave up everything to take care of her kids, which was amazing, but I know that it came with later in life regrets, and I never got to do what I really wanted to do, and you know, I never want to have that. I want to make sure that I am there for my son and he's happy and well taken care of, and I put, you know, food in his mouth and he's very comfortable, and I also want to make sure the artist in me is also fulfilled as well. Everything to this point, I feel that it has a little piece of the first album. I feel like it has a little piece of the stripped album. I feel like, you know, I've kept the red lips from the Back to Basics era, and you know, I'm making it into sort of a signature for myself with this record. Very graphic. The sexuality is tough and sleek and strong at the same time. So it all has a purpose and a place and a definition for me. The video and everything and the look and the tour will all coincide with this sort of graphic blacks and whites and reds imagery and color scheme. And then using strong stones and metals and things like that to offset the graphic coloring. So I'm gonna definitely incorporate that into the video. So everything will be an extension of itself and sort of become this whole package that makes sense. Hey you guys, Christina X Tina here. Thank you guys so much for buying my album Bionic. I cannot thank you guys enough for supporting me over a decade or so. I can't even believe how crazy fast time flies, but you guys are still here and going strong with me. I love that you guys are able to accept and appreciate every single change that I've made over the years, the drastic departures from album to album, the different looks, the different crazy hair and makeup, and appreciating them. I can't wait to see you guys on tour and give you more music, the deluxe version of Bionic, if you will. It's going to be a really fun ride this time around, and I can't wait to go on it with all of you and share it with you guys. Mwah!